Narito ang mga may init na balita sa oras na ito. Heto na at nakipagbardagulan na si Representative Rodante Marcoleta sa Senado. Sa isang makapagpigil hingang sesyon, bumida si Marcoleta laban sa mga kapwa mambabatas na sina Senator Jinggoy Estrada, Chis Escudero at businessman na si Kumar. Matindi ang naging palitan ng mga argumento, ngunit umangat ang diskusyon ng matuklasan ang katotohanan sa likod ng ilang mga controversial na issue. Sa kabila ng mga matitinding argumento, tila umatras sina Jinggoy, Chis at Kumar matapos mapatunayang guilty sa mga kasong kinakaharap nila. Sa gitna ng mainit na talakayan, lumabas sa mga ebidensya na nagpapatunay sa kanilang pagkakasala na nagdulot ng malaking pagbabago sa tono ng malaking depensa. Naging tampok ito ng session sa Senado na talaga namang tinututukan ng sambayanan. Tunay na nakakaantigang ng damdamin ng eksenong ito sa Senado, kung saan ipinakita ni Marcoleta ang kanyang tapang at husay sa pagtaguyod ng katotohanan. Ang kanyang matapang na hakbang ay nagbigay daan upang maisiwalat ang mga katotohanan at magkaroon ng katarungan. Sa mga sumusunod na araw, inaasahang patuloy ang babantayan ng publiko ang mga kaganapang ito, lalo na't napapanahon ng ganitong mga usapin sa ating lipunan. At yan nga ang balitang ating pagkakatutukan. Ngunit bagong lahat, siguraduhin mag-subscribe at i-hit ang notification bell para sa patuloy na pagtutok sa mga sulyap ng bagong balita sa tunay na boses ng masa.
Jr. sa kanyang biyahe sa Brunei at Singapore. At sa isang video message, dinescribe niya ang kanyang biyahe na productive and engaging. Wow! Tignan natin gaano ka-productive. Maybe engaging. Pwede, but yung mabungahon, maraming ganansya. Para sa akin, umuwi siyang luhaan. Talong-talo ang mga mamamayang Pilipino sa biyaheng ito. Mayroon na naman siyang pangako. Mahilig magpangako itong Pangulo natin. Sabi niya sa kanyang message, "My promise, my promise to all Filipinos, we will use every opportunity and continue to build bridges that will ensure a long-lasting peace and stability in our region." Okay. Dito tayo mag-focus mamaya. Yung sabi ko na, bakit luhaan, bakit unproductive yung biyahe niyang ito. Lalo na yung pagsalita niya sa Security Forum sa Singapore. Na ginigit niya na yung pakikipag-alyansa niya, pakikipagtulungan niya sa US government mag-produce ng peace and stability in our region. I beg to disagree. Okay, unahin natin yung trip niya sa Brunei. State visit ito at meron siyang talk with Brunei business companies. Sa mga nauna niyang biyahe, ito pang 27th trip niya na sa Brunei, pang 28th sa Singapore. In just 22 months. Napapansin nyo, palagi may press release ang PCO tungkol sa mga pledges, billions of dollars na pledges na naaani ng Pangulo. Kaya pasalamatan daw natin ang Pangulo dahil masipag biyahe. Kaya BBM, biyahe more. Yan, pledges. Magdadalawang taon na puros pledges man lang, halos kakaunti ang investments na dumarating sa Pilipinas. Sa article nga ni Mr. Tony Lopez sa Philippine Star, Virtual Talk, Pilipinas pala ang kulelat sa foreign investments dito sa 6 leading countries ng ASEAN. Talon-talo tayo ng Singapore, $141 billion ang foreign investments. Sumusunod ang Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, pang-anim ang Pilipinas, $9.2 billion lang ang ating investment. So, ito ngayon, binabantayan ko yung pledges. Wala akong narinig o nabasang balita na may pledges ang mga Brunei businessman. Correct me if I'm wrong, baka meron kayong nabantayan. Kaya lang ako wala. So, ibig sabihin, walang ganansya. Kasi okay na lang sana mag-pledges ng $1 billion. Mayaman ang Brunei. Wala man lang. So, ibig sabihin, wala na. Nakakahalata na kasi kapit bansa lang natin ang Brunei. Alam ng Brunei ang sitwasyon sa Pilipinas na isa sa pinaka bansa na yung ease of doing business. Napakababa ang rating natin. Ang daming red tape, pasikot-sikot, may corruption, may unstable government policies, mataas ang singil ng kuryente, ano pa yon, mahina ang internet connection. Ano pang mga foreign businessmen na kakaunti lang ang nag-i-invest sa Pilipinas. Kaya ito, to me, it's not unproductive yung biyahe niya sa Brunei dahil wala man lang pledges na naani ng Pangulo, kahit pledges na lang. Okay? So punta tayo sa peace and security na sinasabi niya na itong biyahe daw niyang ito is it will result to long-lasting peace and stability in the region. I disagree. Lalong gumugulo. Bakit? Ito, yung tinanong siya ng media na ano yung red line, ano yung mag-trigger ng Pilipinas para i-invoke niya yung Mutual Defense Treaty with the US. Sinabi niya ulit, ito ang palagi niyang sinasabi, na over the death of one Filipino, civilian man o sundalo, i-invoke ng presidente yung Mutual Defense Treaty. Ibig sabihin, hikayatin niya na ang US na makipaggera sa China. Okay? Ang US naman, palagi lang pangako na ironclad commitment. Tutulong kami, hindi namin kayo papabayaan. Ito, na-booking ang US, nilaglag nila ang bansang Pilipinas. Yung US Defense Secretary, si Lloyd Austin, nagsalita rin doon, and after his talk sa Security Forum, tinanong siya ng media tungkol sa Mutual Defense Treaty, tungkol sa palaging pahayag ng Philippine President na pag may namatay na isang Pilipino sa West Philippine Sea dahil sa pambubuli ng China is i-invoke na ng Pilipinas yung Mutual Defense Treaty. Tinanong, what can you say about this? Kung ang sagot sana ng Defense Secretary ng US, yes, tutulong kami. Hindi kami papayag na mambubuli ng China at ikakamatay ng isang Pilipino. We will go to war. We will ask Congress to declare war against China dahil sa kamatayan ng isang Pilipino. Ay, palakpak pa ko kung ganon sana ang sagot ng US Defense Secretary. Nako, taliwas yung sagot ng US Defense Secretary, umiiwas. Sabi lang niya na that's hypothetical. Hindi mangyayari yan. Gagawin namin ang lahat ng paraan para walang mamatay na Pilipino sa West Philippine Sea. Are you sure? Ang China, galit na, lalo na ngayon, itong Pangulo natin, tinayagan niya, inalaw niya ang US na magdala ng yung tinatawag na medium range capability missile systems. Ito po, yung bagong technology ng US na Dito sa Pilipinas, nandyan na yung missile systems nila na pwedeng magpaputok ng mga missiles na pwedeng may dalang nuclear head, may range na 1,800 miles at kayang-kaya niyang targetin ang China. Pwede rin niyang targetin ang Russia. Nako, nag-invite na po tayo ng posibleng kalaban. Madadami tayo. Although ang kalaban ng China at Russia, US, in-invite ng Pangulo ang US, nakipag-alyansa. Nandito na yung mga missile systems ng US at dinala nung balikatan last April. Nandito na. Hindi na ibinalik sa US nung balikatan, nandyan sa Lawag City. But as of now, inamin ng isang AFP official na nandito pa rin, hindi na lang sinabi kung nasaan. Delikado po tayo. Kaya yung sinasabi ng presidente na magkakaroon tayo ng long-lasting stability, to me, mas lalong delikado tayo. At yun ang napakasakit, Kuya Bonget. Yung statement ng US Defense Secretary na umiwas siya sa tanong na kung may mamamatay na Pilipino, ano ang reaksyon? Mahina ang commitment ng US sa atin. Yan ang my humble opinion. Hindi makikipagyera ang US kahit may mamatay na Pilipino sa West Philippine Sea. Anong gagawin nila? Bigyan lang tayo ng armas. Pabayaan tayong makipagyera sa China, kagaya ng ginagawa nila sa Ukraine. Yun na po ang tinatawag na proxy war. Kawawa po ang Pilipinas sa ngayon. Sana maiwasan ang sakuna na darating sa ating bansa.
And thank you again for joining us. This is the last press con before Synod.
Yeah, but we can hold, sir, a press con next week if you want.
Okay.
Anybody from you who is who are free.
Wag, kailangan ko na umuwi sa distrito. Pero I'd like to thank everyone, all of our friends in the media, for tirelessly coordinating with us with the news that needs to be put out to the public. And again, as we have continuously done so, we would like to extend we would, as much as possible, be as transparent to everyone. So feel free to ask questions that may tickle your fancy, siguro. At least lang to squeeze the juice a little bit, since it is after all the last press con that we will have before Synodia. But again, we'd like to extend our thanks to all of our media practitioners, our friends, and hopefully we can get something good out of this. No? And again, daghang salamat sa atong tanan.
Kong Buboy.
Maraming salamat po. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat. I would just like to extend yung gratitude namin sa inyo, sa media, for always giving us this opportunity to share updates and developments on certain issues and topics that are of importance to the general public. Of course, we are here as legislators, bilang mga servant leaders po na may trabaho, hindi lang po para sa paggawa ng batas, kundi para sa trabaho sa taong bayan, dahil kami po ang may link o nagre-represent ng ating mga tao sa kanya-kanyang distrito. So allow me again to extend our gratitude for always giving us this time and this opportunity to share some of our thoughts on major issues of the day. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, sir. Kong Zia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Mapia Kapipitar Kanulangon. Good morning. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. I'd like to thank our media friends for actively engaging with us since the start of the press con a couple of months ago. We know how important in our democracy, in our society, the principle of transparency, and through this medium, we would be able to really inform our public and be transparent with the things that we are doing right here in the House of Representatives that would have a direct impact on our on our people, no? So nagpapasalamat po kami sa inyong suporta, sa pakikipag-ugnayan po sa amin dahil ito pong paraan na papaabot po natin sa ating mga kababayan yung mga bagay na importante po sa ngayon at yung mga bagay na ginagawa po namin na may epekto po sa kanilang buhay. So marami pong salamat and we're looking forward to your questions.
Thank you, our honorable House leaders. For today's first question, may call on Mela Lismoras from PTV4.
Hi, good morning po mga Kongs. Actually, medyo nabanggit na po ni Kong Roman kanina yung mga developments sa Senate. Pero tanungin ko lang din po sana yung inyong comments. Sinabi kasi ni Senate President Pro Tempore Jinggoy Estrada na and even SP Escudero na walang kinalaman yung Malacanang and even Speaker Martin Romualdez sa naging pagpapalit ng liderato sa Senado. Ano pong masasabi nyo ukol dito?
Tama po si Senator Majority Floor Leader Senator Jinggoy Estrada. Also, Senate President Jesus Escudero is correcting saying that walang kinalaman ang Malacanang or the leader of the House of Representatives, Speaker Martin Romualdez. We recognize, and they also recognize, we all know that there is separation between the different branches of government, between the executive and the legislative and the judiciary. And nakita nyo naman, nasubaybayan nyo sa ating mga balita na sila mismo ang nagboto at nagpalit sa kanilang leadership. We just have to respect their decision. To cast a doubt on the independence of the Senate is not something that, it's out of place. Kasi nga, you cannot say that the Senate is independent while you're conducting, inquiries that in the view of in the opinion of many are heading nowhere and useless, but at the same time say that it lacks independence when there is a change of leadership. I mean, it's contradictory. So we believe that the senators decided that they wanted a change in leadership. I don't know, I'm trying to place myself in their situation. Maybe they, I don't know, kasi tinitingnan ko yung performance din ng Senate. Maybe na they realized na when it comes to sa LEDAC, no, yung priority legislation ng ating Pangulo, they're lagging behind. Kami dito sa House of Representatives, we are more than 100% compliant. Tapos sa Senado, marami pang trabaho ang gagawin nila kasi 14% pa lang sila. 3 out of the almost 30 priority legislative measures. So sana nga sa pagpalit ng liderato sa Senado ay ma-comply din nila. Kasi kailangan natin talagang suportahan itong administrasyon na to. Time is running out. And we have to deliver to the Filipino people. In the end, it is basically more than issues of independence. What we should have in mind always as legislators is the welfare of the Filipino people. And that would require working with a sense of urgency and expediency. Yun lang.
If I can add also, I think that came from the word powers that be. No, some feathers have been ruffled, and I would like to thank the new Senate President Jesus Escudero, also Senator Jinggoy Estrada, to make it clear to the general public that there's no such thing. It's strictly internal within the Senate, no? And that's how we understand the Senate as an institution. So we respect that. At that, I think you can see it as face value. The majority of senators were not happy with the leadership, and there has been no. It's good to hear and to confirm that there has been no outside interference when it comes to the inner workings of the Senate.
It's just a short addition to what Congresswoman Geraldine and Congressman Dimaporo said. These are 24 senators, independent-minded senators. I don't think anybody can really convince them to wage a mutiny, an ouster. So it's, to me, to say that somebody outside of the Senate may have a hand in the ouster of former Senate President Migs Zubiri is is preposterous and there's nothing to it. No, I think we must maintain the position of the House of Representatives as far as the bicameral principle. I'm sorry, yes, the bicameral principle of the legislature is concerned. That from the very start, our leader, House Speaker Martin Romualdez, is very clear in his position that we still respect, though we may have different opinions, sometimes conflicting opinions, views, but we still maintain our respect to our co-equal branch in the legislature branch. So it's no, I don't see anything that would really convince even one senator to jump over to another side and then wage a mutiny against a sitting Senate President. That's preposterous to me.
Opo. And speaking of new leadership lang po, kahapon kasi naipasa na rin dito sa Kamara sa ikatlo at huling pagbasa yung panukalang pag-amyenda sa rice tarification law. With the new leadership under SP Cheese Escudero, ano po yung inaasahan nyo sa Senado na magiging hakbang nila patungkol din sa panukalang ito, given na mismong si Pangulong Marcos, prioridad din ito para nga mas makapaghatid ng mas murang presyo ng bigas sa merkado?
Ma'am, pwede natin sabihin that the ball is now in the Senate. Nagawa na po ng liderato ng Kamara ang kailangan gawin. At ito po ay sa panawagan ng taong bayan. And of course, nakikita natin ang general direction and policy nitong administration under the leadership of President Bongbong Marcos and our leader dito po sa House of Representatives, ni Speaker Martin Romualdez. Kaya po, yan ang kagandahan ng atin pong setup ng ating demokrasya. Merong tinatawag na inter-parliamentary courtesy. And right now, yan po ay napunta na sa liderato naman ng Senado. But of course, we do hope that as soon as possible, ito po ay maaksyonan na dahil ito po ang panawagan ng ating taong bayan, lalo-lalo na po ang ating mga farmers na sila po ang most affected, lalo na ngayong tag-init. Marami ng mga probinsya na nag-declare ng drought. Marami ng bayan, probinsya na nag-declare ng state of calamity. Maraming salamat po.
Just to re-echo lang, no? I think we shouldn't be putting the cart before the horse. After all, we just witnessed a change in leadership just very recently also. So I think it would be best also for us to at least observe first maybe the initial results of what the change in leadership or at least how it will affect the current runnings, the current goings on of the Senate as a whole. We do hope, again, I agree with Kong, that we hope na at least in light of the change in leadership, that we would see also improvements as well in the passage of priority legislations. And we would like to extend, again, as always, we'd like to extend also our help then to the Senate, should they need any from the House of Representatives. So again, we are hopeful that in the change of leadership, that things would be expedited properly, that the priority legislations would be passed, and that we would also work, again, hand in hand with the Senate in anything that needs to be done for the betterment and for the good of the Filipino people.
Before we continue, let us acknowledge One Rider Party List Representative Rhodes L. Gutierrez. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
So may I just add, instead of just expressing our desire and willingness to work with the Senate with regard to the passage of the amendments to the rice tarification law, I would also like to extend and offer a friendly reminder to our friends in the Senate that this is something that is much awaited. The problem already stares us in the eyes. And alam natin ang problema ng maraming Pilipino ang pagtaas ng presyo ng bigas. So the question is, what are we doing? We cannot forever rely on imports. And we have seen that the original objectives of the rice tarification law are not being met. And I'm not talking from a personal point of view. We have spoken to many farmers, marami po ang nadi-disappoint sa kanila. So kami dito po sa House of Representatives, in order to address their grievances and their complaints, we have devised ways kung saan ma-ensure natin ang steady supply of rice while prioritizing local production. And although some senators have expressed their hesitancy over the empowerment of the National Food Authority, ang tanong lagi namin dito sa House is, so what is your alternative? So paalala lang po sa ating mga senador, hindi humawawala ang problema just by ignoring the solutions or the options that we are presenting to them via the amendments to the rice tariffication law. Dapat mag-isip din sila kung hindi sila sang-ayon dun sa NFA. They should look for other alternatives. Hindi naman po pwede yung attitude na basta ayaw ko, hindi po pwede. Hindi tayo ganun magtrabaho. Kailangan maghanap tayo ng solusyon. Kasi those problems won't disappear. On the contrary, they'll get even worse. And mahirap Alam nyo, kung ilulugar nyo lang ang sarili nyo sa lugar na napakaraming pamilyang Pilipino, that they can hardly afford rice, which is a staple in our country. It's not only irresponsible, I think it's immoral to adopt an immobilist stand when it comes to legislation. Laws are not like the Bible. They can be changed, and they should be changed for the better and for the welfare of the Filipino people. And this includes the rice tariffication law. So, pakiusap lang po at paalala na kinakailangan po natin ito. At naniniwala po ako, we have brilliant senators and they will also come up with alternatives and solutions to this problem. Dito po kami sa House of Representatives, we have economists, led by Congressman Stella Kimbo. We also have a Harvard graduate in the person of Representative Micaela Swansing, who is from Nueva Ecija, the rice granary of Luzon. Matagal ng passion ni Representative Swansing itong ating rice industry, and hindi lang po namin yung pinulot kung saan-saan. So take them seriously. Pero yung ganong attitude na, basta, hindi ko trust ang NFA, hindi po pwede. Ganun na lang. So what is your alternative? So yun lang po.
Just an additional ano po dun sa sinabi po na. I think there are two issues that we also need to adopt, no, because acknowledge. Alam mo natin problema hindi lang sa Pilipinas but even sa buong mundo, no, yung food security. In fact, food security is already an issue of human rights, di ba? It's a human rights issue. So dito we are faced with yung progressive na pagtaas ng presyo ng bigas, at the same time yung pagbaba ng supply ng local market ng mga bigas. I think yung besides the power that would be granted to NFA to check on warehouses, kasi yung issue ng buffer stock being used during emergencies, etc. At dun ata yung medyo may contention Pero let's look at the positive na po pwedeng maibigay ng amendment na ito. Meron po dun yung rice, meron po tayong ina-allocate for every year na yung rice enhancement, competitive enhancement fund, which actually boost initiatives, yung pag-mechanize and pag-modernize ng ating mga farming equipments, etc., support for local farmers. In fact, I'm looking at yung ginagawang yung the government dealing with the farmers directly by providing incentives through assistance in feeds and mga fertilizers. And so after when there's a harvest, the government can really pay for that and purchase for so it's a contract farming system, no? Which is basically how we can improve the quality of our ani, of our production. Yes. So we will increase that from 10 billion pesos annually to 15 billion pesos. So it would really boost yung sinasabi nating problem of the local market, yung production ng rice. That's one of the magandang bagay na may papakita natin din sa rice tariffication amendments. So I think the Senate kasi they present, actually we agree that the Senate concern really is not only on districts, no, but they look at it on a national scope. So with this new development happening and has happened in the Senate, still pa, ano kami eh, we are still optimistic that we can actually engage positively with the Senate.